Welcome to Yelling Into the Void, a podcast discussing and exploring topics in World of Warcraft. I'm Tevin. I'm joined as always by Scott. And now that we're well on the way to getting our second tunes to 3K, Scott, I'm starting to think about a third, and I think AUG might be on the table. What do you think?
What?
Unironically, we are kind of playing with an AUG evoker right now.
Yeah,
which is been interesting.
I never thought that would happen, but that's our wonderful friend who likes to play the least popular specs ever just for fun. And he's doing great. He's killing it. So I'm not complaining, but
it is pretty ironic though, because he was playing Dev, which is like one of the best specs in the game right now.
Yeah.
But
there's still a part of me that's just like, can't you just switch back? Maybe.
Hey, I'm not going to complain too much because it's made tanking a lot easier. So,
yeah, fair.
Well, Horrific Visions have been around for about a week now, and there was a ton of content coming out for them. Like right after they came out, I don't know if it was just like Dratnus was like re-uploading or rehashing all of his videos he did in the past. Which, funny enough, like Visions videos is like I really think what started to like catapult Dratnos into famousness.
That's really
because
funny.
like that is around the time he started getting like relatively large. But all of that went away after Ian did his interview. I don't know if anybody else has seen this interview, but it has been an absolute shit show because Ian made some statements about their philosophy on what they think add-ons are going to be in the future.
Yeah. So do you think like they like had a in case of emergency break glass button on? Everyone was really pissed off at the horrific because it turns out Horrific Visions, which were time gated as part of patch 11.1.5, were themselves also time gated in that we can't get everything this week, and we can't.
And further to that, it's not this way anymore. But the rewards were also time gated.
Yeah.
To finishing the like progression track through it. So. Yeah.
So like shit, let's run this at PcGamer interview. It'll distract everyone. They'll be mad about something else.
I don't know what their thought process was. Like
I want to get into that because I think that's one of the most interesting things about Ian's interview is something that you said when we were talking about this last week is like, why are they doing this right now? Actually.
Yeah.
Not the changes that they're making, but just the way they're talking about the changes. Mm-hmm. It just seems like an interesting decision.
It definitely does. And I think so Horrific Visions, that interview from Ian that we've touched on a little bit here, we'll go into more detail on like exactly what it was later in the podcast. And then the third thing I'd like to touch on if we have time is kind of like where we're at in our journey to 3K on other tunes and what we're going to be doing now that we've achieved it on one and are honestly getting very close to getting it on a second. So.
Yeah.
But let's just dive in. I mean, I think it only makes sense to start off with Visions because Visions were technically first. And really what I thought the majority of the content this week that you and I were going to talk about was going to be centered around. Yeah. But then everything got shifted up a little bit. So, I don't know. So Visions, as somebody who played in BFA, they're almost the exact same. Like there are some other little things that happen. You'll get attacked by different mobs. There's different mounts to farm. You can also farm the old mounts. If you didn't get them in BFA, like the Mail Muncher mount is still available. If you go click the mailboxes, you still have a chance to get that mount.
What?
Yeah, if you click mailboxes, it has a chance to summon this worm and you get an ugly little worm mount. It's, yeah.
Okay.
The guy who plays AUG for us spent months trying to get that mount in BFA. I don't know. But there's new mounts. There's new rewards. There's like recolors and reuses of the original rewards. I believe the original rewards are still in there now as well, like the cosmetics for them. There's a new vendor in which you can buy weapons only, I think. There's veteran weapons, champion weapons, and hero track weapons that you can buy from them, depending on how many masks you can complete the visions with. and yada yada yada. I mean, that's all the new stuff. So like, I guess let's take it from the beginning on like what is a horrific vision for those who haven't ever dealt with it before.
Which was
And
me before Tuesday.
yeah, it was this content that Blizzard introduced. So we had a legendary cloak in BFA, and you went into the vision to upgrade your cloak, and then your cloak would also give you like sanity drain reduction inside the vision. And it was like you did visions to upgrade the cloak, got higher item level, got more stats, increased your sanity drain reduction, and then you like just did that week over week over week. And you had, I think it was, you could only do visions like 3-ish times a week or something like that, maybe even less. But that was like the real big downfall because they were hard. They were hard when they first came out. Nobody knew what was going on. And the rate at which we got sanity drain reduction was so much lower than it is now. So like you would go in, you'd fuck up one thing, and then you'd miss your cloak upgrade for the week. And that would be awful because now you're just permanently behind and you can't catch back up, and it just sucked. Now, I believe later in the expansion they did a little bit to kind of ease this out a little bit. But yeah, when it was first introduced, it was pretty rough. But they've removed the weekly limit, which actually makes these somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
I put here they're a bit fun. They're extremely repetitive. Like it's the same thing every time you go inside. Like you're going to do the same thing every single time. The same mechanics on the bosses. Like the only thing that's going to change is week to week. You're going to have different like affixes in each wing. But like other than that, it's all the same. It's all going to be the same every time you do it. So I think after we get through Orgrimmar this upcoming week, like there isn't really going to be a reason for people to continue doing this outside of just trying to get their increased helm enchant, and then nobody's going to touch it again.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. Do you got a viewpoint as somebody who hasn't done these before?
Yeah. So, like, I mean, we talked very negatively about like the other stuff that came in 11.15, the world quest thing that is just like mindless events in the world with thousands of other people that their buttons don't even matter. This is like better than that in every way in my mind. Like I would rather them do something like this 100 times over them just doing like world quest, world event type stuff. I just find that stuff really mindless and boring. This is not like the most interesting thing I've ever played in the world, but yeah, like it is, especially the first few runs where like I just walked into this cold. I did not understand any of it. I didn't know how any of it worked. And I just kind of just started fucking around and figuring it out. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was fun kind of realizing, kind of developing. And of course you can all just look this up. You can look up like the most efficient route, how you should do it. I didn't do any of that. I just kind of ran through it and figured it out as I was going. And I had a great time with it. I did. It quickly lost interest in me once, I made my first run, my first complete run. I unlocked the lesser enchant. And then I learned that everything else is time gated. And there's like, you cannot advance up the progression path on the track thingy anymore. I knew there's like mounts and stuff to farm, but like part of me was just like, I could do this now and I could try to slowly unlock all the masks right now. Or I could just like wait until everything's unlocked and just have an easier time of doing all that. And so that's what I kind of just decided to do. So I was enjoying it. I had a fun time and I like this kind of content more than other things, but I do think that the time gating decision there was kind of dumb. I think it kills the momentum of this thing, especially since it was something that was already delayed. Like this was listed as 11.15 content. 11.15 came out a month ago,
A while ago.
Yeah, over a month ago. And so like then to time gate it on top of that, it just seems like, man, Blizzard, you're just really trying to stretch this stuff as much as you possibly can, aren't you? And that was a little disappointing. Like I guess this, the philosophy of we need to be protected from ourselves is really starting to get to me. Not even because like I am actually one of the people that probably most benefits from them time gating stuff because I just don't have a lot of time to play. And so like if if I had to this week do everything I wanted to do in Mythic Plus while also grinding enough stuff to be able to get the best helm enchant, I probably would have felt a little overwhelmed. But like, you don't need to make the game for me. Like, it's okay if I have the capability of doing everything, I just don't have the time this week. It's better that you just let other people get the stuff and then I'll catch up next week than it is to hold everyone else back because I can't play as much. Like, but that's just not their philosophy, right? Their philosophy is the opposite of what I just said there. And I think they've made that very, very clear. So I think they're just going to continue to annoy people with this stuff, but it is what it is.
It has been very disheartening for me. Like, the amount of time gating that they've done in this expansion has been like way too fucking much. Like, I think the meme that you sent me the literal day the patch came out was the like pinnacle of this like expansion. Like, Scott sends me a meme and it's just the War Within logo and it says World of Warcraft, the time gate within. And then like, it was so on point. I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of times people overreact in this game and the devs can never win, but this is one of the very few times where I feel like the overreaction's becoming justified. I mean, this is like the third or fourth thing now that they've just, for no reason other than fuck it, why not, they've time gated.
Yeah.
Like this, to be clear, to be crystal fucking clear to everybody listening to the podcast, if we had the greater helm enchant on day one, that is like, I think on the upper end for a lot of classes, like a 2% AoE increase. And in single target, that's like 0.5% DPS increase.
Yeah.
Like, this would not have been game breaking. You know what was bigger than that? Giving us 6 additional item level a couple fucking weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was way more game breaking than this helm enchant ever would have been. Like, I don't understand the reasoning behind this at all.
I mean, it's just to stretch the content. Like, I mean, at the beginning of a season, capping the number of crests you can get, capping the number of item level you can get at the beginning of the season is to prevent like the acquisition of item level so fast that like you just roll over content in the first 2 weeks. Like, that at least makes some semblance of sense. This is just solely because it has nothing to do with power. It has nothing to do with controlling the increase in power. It has everything to do with people are going to be done with this in 2 weeks. And if we want, we can, if we didn't put this in, people will be done with this in a week. And so we can make it 2 weeks. And that's it, because like 11.17 is coming, right? I think it's coming at the end of June 17th. So now they've stretched this thing into June, right? It'll go this second week. We'll be able to unlock everything. So technically it'll take you to the beginning of June. And now they've stretched this content out a little bit further and they have a little bit less of a lag period. I mean, cynically, if you're going to cancel your subscription in between the end of this content and the beginning of 11.17, well, now that takes place within the same month because they've stretched this out a week. So it doesn't make sense to cancel my sub for less than a month because this is a monthly subscription service. Like, I don't know if that was part of the calculus of this, but it could be.
It really is starting to feel like it. I still will hold strong that this was nothing more than just to keep people trying to do the like they're exactly what you said. There is no reason, absolutely none, that they needed to time gate this.
It's already recycled content. It's already old shit that they're bringing back, which I'm not opposed to. I think if you want to do like a small little patch in the middle of your season that's just, here's a thing that we used to do and we're going to bring it back temporarily and we're going to tweak it, I'm fine with that. But then to put gates on it, it just doesn't make any sense.
The other part of this, like, I am more along the lines of like, stop protecting players from themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, I get why you're doing it because it's like, we want to elongate subs and people will play longer and yada, yada, yada. Maybe there's a better way to do that. As evident, like, for anybody who doesn't follow the competitive WoW subreddit, there's weekly, like, detailed out of like number of keys completed every week. And if you looked during the Turbo Boost week, it fucking spiked. It spiked above the current player count that there was in season 1. And season 1 is notorious for being the most highly player retention season of any season in the game.
Yep.
So like maybe there's better ways to bring players back, doing things like Turbo Boost, stuff like that. I don't know. This protecting players from themselves bullshit is like, it's giving me airs of old Blizzard, and I felt like they were finally going on the right track, starting with Dragonflight and like being more clear, making things evergreen, not making things locked behind 500 million other fucking things that you need to do. Like, I don't know. It's making me a little bit concerned.
Yeah. I don't like it. And again, like, it doesn't affect me at all because I probably played as much Horrific Visions this week as I would have. So it had no effect on me. But yeah, like philosophically, it also, I don't know, it does this thing to the design of the game. You know, speaking of like, this is the world of Warcraft. This is still technically an MMO, but I feel like when you put all these like artificial like gates on things, it feels like it shrinks the world a little bit. It's like, why can't we get this week? Is there like a lore reason for that? I was like, no, not really.
No, there's just an invisible wall. It's like you're playing an N64 game, and you're like,
exactly.
You clearly walk through that doorway, but you're not meant to yet.
Exactly. It just shrinks the world a little bit. And I am okay with a lot of the extensions they do of like gear acquisition, and like there's always been a certain amount of time gating in this game because you can only do the raid once per week, right? Like that's just built-in kind of gate. You can't do things infinitely. I've always been okay with that on some level. It starts to feel excessive when it's stuff like this and artificial and fake, and it makes it feel like a system and not a world. And like, this is a game already where the majority of the game is systems anyway. So like it already doesn't feel like a world. And it's so funny that like off the back of all the housing news last week that made me feel like, oh, maybe for the first time, we're going to really get the world back into this thing. Like there's going to be things to do in this game that are not just run through systems. It's going to be like socializing and talking and doing fun games. And like, it has the potential for all these things. And then immediately hit by this, it's just like, oh, okay. Well, that's kind of shitty. So, yeah.
The other thing that they need to, if we want to talk about like the world and like doing things with your friends still, they have got to stop doing this garbage that they're doing, that doing shit solo is just more efficient than doing shit with people.
Yeah.
Like it should be the same efficiency.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be a hard balance to strike, but it should not be overwhelmingly harder. Like if you take the fucking companion in the Horrific Vision, it more than doubles half the mob's health in the entire vision. Like bosses have more than double health. Some shit mobs have more than double health. Like none of this should happen. Like if anything, mob's health should be doubled. But if you're using the built-in companion that doesn't deal the same damage as an actual player, then it shouldn't be doubled. It should be whatever percentage of a player you anticipate that companion to be.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with this. I think the cool thing about things like I'm about to say something nice about delves. Everyone stand back. Like it is good that delves are soloable, right? That like this is content that you do not need a group for. This is something you can jump on and do if you have 15 minutes here and there, not enough time to run something with friends, but it's maybe late at night or early, or you're about to step into a meeting or whatever. And you can just hop on and do a delve. And I think the same with this Horrific Visions. Like it's good that I can run that by myself whenever I want and don't have to coordinate with friends or anything. But like, if I want to do that, if I want to coordinate with friends, if I want to run my weekly delves with friends or run the Horrific Visions with friends, like it should be not a choice that gives me an advantage. Cause yeah, if it gives you an advantage, then the community feels pressured to do it in groups versus solo, but it shouldn't give you as big of a disadvantage as it gives you. And it does feel like that. It just feels like delves are harder in a group of 5 than they are solo. It's less fun. It takes longer. And it's just worse in every way, and that's why people don't do them in groups. They just don't. And I think this, like the same thing with the horrific visions. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You can run these in a group of 5, right? There's nothing stopping you in the game from doing that.
Correct.
But it's just not as efficient. It's a much more of a slog than it is by yourself. So yeah, I agree with you. That is a fine line to nail. Because the second you make it better as a group, then suddenly there's societal pressure to do it as a group instead of solo. I get that, but that's their job. They got to figure that out. Like they find that line and then ride it, because that's what I think needs to happen. I agree. Yeah, the idea that they added an NPC to this thing and then it became apparent immediately that it's just so much worse to use that NPC is like, what the fuck are we doing? Why?
Mm-hmm. It's just a waste of time. And honestly, like
in a thing that is timed, right? In a thing that is timed. Like it'd be one thing if it's just like, if it was like a delve where it was just like, well, the most efficient way to do this delve, it only takes you 15 minutes, but the least efficient way, you bring another friend in and that then takes you 30 minutes. But this is a timed thing, right? So like it's, you reduce efficiency in the horrific vision. You've just made it harder on yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to improve on here. And I think if they're going to keep doing stuff like this, like you said, if they keep bringing back old systems, I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but they've got to start thinking of this shit. And they've got to start thinking about, why do we time gate stuff? Because if it really is for the cynical part that I have called out before, of just elongating subs, like that's not a good enough reason. It's just not, and it's going to make people quit the game more than continue to play the game.
Well, and it's the exact trap they fell into throughout, the worst parts of the game, right? That we have to make people feel like they have to log in, versus the game is the healthiest when people want to log in, that they want to play the game because the game is fun, because there's fun things to do in the game, versus, well, I can't quit now because XYZ. That is not what they want. And yeah, to your point, it felt like they had moved away from that. And I'm not saying things are as bad as they were in frankly the times that I didn't play the game, but it has a feeling, it has an aura of that old mindset to it that makes a lot of players, ourselves included, go, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. I just hope that they don't fall back into the trap. Like, I feel like it's a very easy thing to fall back into. And yeah, I do think that as more and more of the gaming industry switches to like games as a service or live service games or whatever people are calling them, this is just going to continue to come back around. Like the perpetual wheel is going to turn. Blizzard's going to realize players don't like these things. They're going to cut back on it. And then corporate overlords are going to realize, hey, this is doing really well for other games that are doing it. And it's going to come back. And then it's just going to be this perpetual cycle that I think is going to be never ending. So,
yep. I think you're right. Unfortunately, to throw them just the tiniest bone though, the fact that the helmet chants are warband tradable. Thank you.
Finally, they did something account wide.
Yeah.
But so 2 final things that I want to touch on with Visions before I move on. One is the weapon vendors. So to call out the weapon vendors, you have to complete runs with masks. I think it's 1 mask for the champion veteran vendor.
Yeah.
And then 3 masks for the champion vendor and 5 masks for the heroic vendor, or hero vendor. Those weapons you can buy are not warband tradable. But you can buy an item from the hero vendor and the champion vendor that upgrades the items that you get out of Visions. Like from the boxes at the end, you get items at the end that are warband tradable. And if you buy that item from those, anything that drops will be upgraded to the next track.
Okay.
And that will be warband tradable. So
speaking as someone who's about to leave my geared characters behind and start a journey on a very ungeared character, is this the best way in the game right now to to gear up before you start diving into Mythic Plus?
Maybe. I don't necessarily think so unless you can do a 5-mask run next week, because that'll be able to get you decent gear from doing them.
On my 618 priest? Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
No, on your main. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that this is going to be a good way for alts to gear up. No, I think it's going to be relatively hard for them.
It's just weapons, you said, right? So I think, unfortunately, the best
from
way,
the vendor.
Yeah, but you can't get any kind of gear from the thing itself.
From the end of chest, yeah.
I feel like the best way to gear up on alts, and I'm going to be experimenting this with soon, is the stupid Flames Radiance thing. I think that is just going to be the most efficient way to gear up your alts.
Well, if you're far enough in your delve track, that's probably the most efficient way to gear your alt. Like, you can just straight up buy champion gear from the delve vendor that's warbound tradable.
What?
Yeah. It costs the undercoins, so you need to go do shit to get undercoins, but yeah.
But it's warband tradable, so I don't, because the problem, like, I was all like, I'm gonna unlock the thing that lets me buy these stupid keys, so I don't have to do world events to get the keys for the bountiful delves. And then I realized that no, the keys need undercoins, and the undercoins are not warbound tradable, and I don't have any on my alts, and I was pissed off. So okay, I like this. This is better. This is better.
I believe it's champion gear. It might be veteran. I'm like pretty sure it's champion.
Champion gear would be pretty good. That's not bad.
I'm like second guessing myself now. It very well might be veteran. Anyways, I think that's the best way. The second best way, I think, is going through on whatever character you get on, talking to all of the vendors or all of the like renowned quartermasters and getting your crests, and then just using those to like craft whatever shit green item that you can turn into like a 629 or something like that item. So with the enchanted crests that you can get from those vendors.
Another strategy is to just walk into a +2 at 620 item level and see what happens.
That is true, and wouldn't be awful. And once you get high enough to do LFR, there's not a ton of people rolling on gear nowadays.
Let me tell you something about LFR. I did LFR on my druid this week because I wanted the trinket with my dinar, so I had to kill Sprocket Monger Lockenstock in order to be able to get my trinket. Because for some reason, you can get the heroic version of that trinket by killing it on LFR for some reason. LFR sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of people say like it's ruining the game and they should take it out of the game. I don't think that. Like, whatever. This is the only way some people experience the raid, and I feel bad for them, but sure. These boss kills, like as a healer on these boss kills, nothing's happening. Nobody's taking any damage, and it takes so long to kill the bosses. It's so long. It's like 6 to 8 minutes of me just standing there, just doing my DPS rotation on a healer, and I'm just so bored. It's awful. I hate it. I hate it.
The solution to that is just don't heal. I don't know what you're doing there.
Well, that's what I do. What do you mean don't heal?
But all right, Scott, do you want to talk about the other announcements from Ian this week?
Oh boy. Because so let's just say first of all, everybody calm down. just calm down. Nothing has been made yet. Nothing. So let's all take a Xanax, and it's gonna be okay. Yeah. Probably.
This has been an absolute shit show. I mean, from content creators making videos about it, the WoW competitive subreddit freaking out, our personal guild Discord of people who aren't even subbed to the game still freaking out. Like, everybody is reading this shit and starting to freak out. So to put it in general terms, essentially what happened in this PcGamer interview is Ian went on to PcGamer and was talking about their new add-on like replacements, like the things that they're going to do for combat add-ons. And like you and I have called out in a couple weeks ago, whenever we were talking about add-ons, their intent is to replace them. Like, that was always what I assumed the end goal would be.
Yeah.
And so Ian made that clear and even specified some of the things that will be getting replaced, like the ability to color nameplates and the ability to change what nameplates look like depending on like if they have dots on them or specific buffs or whatever. And like I have a feeling that he is saying these things because hopefully that is something that we will get to do in the base game. And if that's the case, that's a good thing, and we shouldn't be freaking out about it. They just don't have any proof to show us that that's what's going to be happening, and so people are freaking out about it.
So why are they doing this right now? Like, this is like, okay, so they have the Wowcast thing a few weeks ago, right? Where they have Dratnos and Max on, and they introduce both the single button rotation and the rotation helper, and at the same time, their philosophical vision on add-ons. And it makes sense, right? Rotation helper and single button rotation are coming in 11.1.7, so they had to announce those. And they did what we always asked them to do, which is, along with any kind of major shift in design, they announce like a philosophical roadmap of like, this is what we're thinking and this is what we're moving towards. And yeah, in that conversation, it was, we think these combat add-ons do too much. It's this arms race between add-on developers and WeakAura developers and our encounter designers, and our encounter designers feel hamstrung because they have to design only certain things, and they have to challenge the players in only certain ways because they know that things that they can make will just be solved by a WeakAura instantly, and so they can't do that. And like, so we want to move away from this stuff. And I was on board. I was like, yes, 100%. I see where you're at. I like where you're going. And we had the caveat then, which is that, okay, but you need to do it. If you're going to bring that all in house, you need to do a really good job of it. And then it's like a month later, 2 weeks later, whatever, it's like, we're going to go in an interview and like drop the hammer on it's just like, it's almost as if someone in PR said like, no, we weren't specific enough on the Wowcast. You need to go out there and specifically tell people which specific combat add-on capabilities will not function in our new world order. But to your point, shouldn't you wait until after you have the thing that you're going to replace it with to show off? Like, shouldn't that be like, build the replacement first and then say, we're turning off XYZ because XYZ are here, and here you can play with it right now. It's right here. It's just so wild to me that what they're doing is basically telling us to take all this stuff on faith, which is like, a lot of what Ian said in the interview is good. It's like, if we have to take these things away, if we have to take this kind of immediate reporting away from you, we're going to have to simplify the game. Like, we're going to have to, there's going to be less things to kick. There's going to be less, like, the mechanics are going to be much more visually oriented. Like, you will be able to see when the boss is doing something. You will be able to see where you're supposed to stand. Like, that's all great in theory.
Yeah.
And like, so he's giving definitive answers on what is going to be taken away, but theoretical answers on what the state of the game is going to look like after that stuff's taken away. And that just feels backwards to me in a way that I just don't kind of understand why they felt the need to do this right now.
Yeah. So you and I always champion for them being more clear and doing more of these PR events and explaining their thought processes on things.
Yeah.
But that comes with a certain level of understanding. Like, we the people do not understand what goes on behind closed doors at Blizzard headquarters. And so we can't share the same vision that they have unless they explicitly show us what their vision is. And they didn't do that here. What they did was say, Plater is not going to work. essentially all of your combat add-ons, so weak auras and big wigs and DBM are not going to work. And all of that shit's just going to go away. And that's what really got people fired up. But like, the thing is we're waiting until 11.17 to get a rotational helper. We're waiting until 11.17 to get one button rotation. But they're not getting rid of Achille in 11.17. So that leads me to believe that their first iteration of these things that they're trying to replace the combat add-ons with will also not remove the combat add-ons.
Yeah.
But it will be at a further iteration. So,
which, by the way, is the correct choice. Which, like, absolutely, you introduce your new replacement of these things, and then you have a grace period for where both will run side by side, and you don't turn off the old stuff until you're 100% happy with the new stuff. Like, that's like, if they don't do it that way, they're stupid. I mean,
shit, that's how Windows works.
Right.
Like, Windows 11 has been out for how long, and Windows 10 is just now getting end of life. Like, that's just how you do things. So, but we're talking like, I think generously 6 months out. Generously.
Yeah. They said no 11.17. They said no 11.2. So like best case, we're talking with midnight 12.0, right? At the earliest. Like, it could even extend beyond that. But at the absolute earliest, we're talking a change in the new expansion, which who knows when that's going to be.
Yeah. And so why are we talking about this right now? Like, this isn't like explaining some new feature and showing like concepts of it and everything else like they do at expansion launch release announcements.
Yeah.
No, this is just theoretically sometime down the road, Plater is not going to work.
Yeah.
And all of the things that you like about Plater are just going to be gone because we don't have a replacement to show you that we're going to do the same thing that Plater does, but in-house.
Yeah.
So and again, to bring it all back, if Blizzard gets rid of Plater, but all the Plater functionality is in World of Warcraft, I don't care. That's perfectly fine. And honestly, that's better because you're not required to go get something from some third-party site to play the damn game.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm hopefully optimistic about this, but the problem is they have announced it with no substance to go behind it. And that has caused an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, people like to doomsay about WoW as is. So that has just fed the flames of the beast.
Well, when you tell someone that Plater's not going to work anymore, what they do when they close their eyes is they imagine playing retail today without Plater, and the image in their head is of a shit show. Because I do think, I mean, we have some friends that play without Plater, and I don't know how you do it. Like, I don't understand playing like Mythic Plus without Plater. Like, how do you function? I don't like, and I'm not saying like all the Plater functionality I need. Like, there are certain things it does that like are nice to have, but not necessary. Like, the one thing that it's running right now is the on dual boss fights where you have to keep them both around the same HP. Plater will mark which one you should be attacking with a green arrow, which is a nice to have, but not a need to have. But like, there's so many like tracking cooldowns on kicks and like all these things in it and colors and all this functionality that I think is absolutely necessary for me to play the game right now. Imagining that being gone is terrifying. And yeah, they can tell me, but don't worry, because A, we're going to make our nameplates better, and B, when we take away this functionality from add-ons, we are going to simplify the game in such a way that you're going to feel like you don't need that kind of information, that that we're going to provide all the information you need to play the game in the core game itself. And yeah, to what you said, that's great, but you're not showing me that. And so I'm forced to just imagine what that world would look like. And unfortunately for Blizzard, the one example of this new philosophy that is present right now is the cooldown tracker. And the cooldown tracker sucks. It's not good. It's not very good, and nobody's using it. And so, like, and that's fine. That's fine because it's an iterative process, right? They will iterate on it. It will get better, and I fully believe by the time it comes to turn add-ons off, they will have that thing in a spot that is ready for that eventuality. But but that's all we have right now to look at, and it's not good. And so it's just like, again, going back to the timing point, it's just like, what what were you thinking? And look, I'm not a developer of a video game. I'm not a project lead on a multi-million-dollar billion-dollar industry, and I'm certainly not in PR for that company. So I'm gonna assume that those people understand this business and know more about this than I did. But like, I'm finding it very hard to come up with a reason for why this should happen right this very minute.
Yeah. The only thing that I can think of is, like you said, maybe it's a smokescreen to divert from how bad horrific visions were. I don't know. But like, here's the thing. Like, it's a kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for them, because like they want to be transparent.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I think that the first interview that they did with Dratnos and Max was good. I think that that's all they needed to do. I don't think they needed to go and elaborate more on this and cause the chaos that has happened, because really that's all the PcGamer interview did. It didn't say anything new. It didn't say anything new about what they have developed. It just said new stuff about what they are planning to take away. And
but even that wasn't necessarily new, because it's just like they didn't get into details about that. They said that real-time combat tracking via the add-on API was going to be a thing that they were going to turn off. And that's all they really needed to say. And it's just like, the implication there was weak ores aren't going to work anymore. Plater isn't going to work anymore. Like that was implied in that statement, but not directly said. And in this interview, he just made the implication literal, which I guess that's good for some people that maybe didn't get the message. But yeah, like the vibe I got from the Wowcast was, this is our philosophy. This isn't happening soon. It's going to be a long iterative process. And as we have new updates for you in this space, we are going to bring that conversation to you. So yeah, that's what I expected. I expected these two add-ons would hit now. There's going to be takes on there, and there's going to be reviews on them, yada, yada, yada. And then the next time they launch something else, like their version of DBM, when they are getting ready to premiere that, they will show that off. And then we will have a conversation about what you can and can't track in bigwigs and DBM, and what parts they're bringing into their personal add-on, and what parts they think they don't want people to have access to actually anymore. And that's a whole philosophical conversation around that. And then same thing with weak ores. And like this is all, it's just weird. It's just weird to do it this way. It just is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess, like I said, I want to cut them a little bit of slack, because I want them to keep doing these PR stuff, like interviews and giving us ideas on like what the future of the game is going to look like, and how they feel about the current state of the game. But all of that, like, they need to do it intelligently. And I feel like this one just wasn't quite thought out.
Yeah.
Plus, like when you bring things to light, like you already explained this, but when you shine an even bigger magnifying glass on it, like that's going to make people worry more, because now they're going to be like, okay, well, now they've talked about this twice in the past month. Like, how soon is this coming? Or the people who didn't read the first interview, but only heard the more specific one. Like, you have to take those things into account.
We all hate change. I mean, people in general hate change. Players of a 20-year-old video game hate change maybe more than the average person. And this is a shift and a change in the game, and we are going to need to be coddled through it. And this is a way that it doesn't necessarily feel like we're doing it, because, like, I mean, the conversations around boss design and encounter design and the ways in which add-ons are limiting people's ability to interact with that kind of stuff, that only affects a small portion of the population, actually. And most people are just like being told they're turning add-ons off and are terrified of that. And yeah, like I think they did. You could look at this interview as a way of clarifying that, of making the definitive statements of like, if you want to make your screen look different, if you want to do custom add-ons to personalize the way you play the game, that's not going anywhere. It's these things specifically. And that might have been the intent of the interview, of really focus, like by making the implicit explicit. They're kind of trying to calm down the people who think they're going to turn add-ons off and it's not going to be an add-on game anymore. But I don't think it had the desired effect, because what it did was scare a whole lot of people. And
so I do want to say, like, they have been doing PR stuff lately, and there's been another interview that came out, and I don't know if you read this one, but there's an interview with Paul Cubitt and Maria Hamilton, who are two associate game directors. And they had a specific question in there that I really liked about like fun detected nerfs. And I think that Paul Cubitt, I think he's the one who answered it, but I think he had a very good answer on this. And that like the most recent thought of this that I can think of is when Tank Brand came out, and like he was so strong. Everybody was just using Tank Brand. It was insane how good he was. And then they nerfed it, and they made it essentially only usable for healers, which was the intention initially anyways. Like he got a damage increase anytime you healed him. So he made a statement saying like, we don't do this and make these changes because people are having fun with it. We do this because it literally removed two other avenues of playing the game away from players to do that. So we did it to bring it in line so that people didn't just lose content necessarily because it got replaced by something that's just better. And I think that that's a very good way for people to like become grounded in like what the design philosophies are from Blizzard. Like there's a lot of things that Blizzard does that annoy me, but you do have to take a step back and look at it as a game developer and understand like, okay, is there a reason here that I'm missing? Just because this is bad for me, like, is this an overall bad change? And I think for the most part, the answer to that is no. I think for the most part, they do pretty well for the actual game philosophy changes. But I just wanted to call that out.
Well said. I completely agree. It like, we cannot be trusted 90% of the time to determine what is a necessary change and not, because like, what, just because like, just because something's fun does not mean it's good for the game. And like it was fun in season 2 of Dragonflight to basically be done with the gearing process after 2 weeks. It was fun seeing how quickly you powered up in those first 2 weeks, but it wasn't healthy for the game. It wasn't healthy for any aspect of the game for gearing to happen that quickly. It broke down so much of how the game functions. They had to change it. And it's like, I do think so often, and I'm going to include myself in this, people that play this game just get mad when something's being changed because it seems like, oh, we liked that and now you're taking it away. It's like, well, no, like there's the people that design this game don't just like wake up in the morning and go like, you know, it would be fun to do today, piss everyone off. No, it's like, these are carefully thought out, discussed and planned and meticulously designed changes when they're doing stuff like this. And like, I am still, just to reiterate, like, I am still 100% for their new philosophy. I am 100% behind this idea that this game is too dependent on add-ons, and that add-ons are ultimately detrimental to the health of the game at this point in the game's life cycle, and it needs to change. And I support them recognizing that decision and committing to make a change. I'm totally for all that. So the people crying wolf about add-ons, like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, I think they're kind of bungling the actual implementation of that a little bit.
Yeah, we we need to wait before we freak out. Like,
yeah, 100%.
when they show us the first iteration and it's like not even remotely close, and then they also tell us, hey, when this comes out, we're turning off add-ons, then we can freak the fuck out. But as of right now, like, nothing's going away for probably at least 6 months, if not even more than that.
Yeah.
And I think that it isn't going away right when the first iteration comes out, like Scott said. Like, I think we have time, and who knows, it might be better. So
yeah, I mean,
would just calm down.
I think like seeing what the Mythic Plus season is like and what the new raid is like under this new world order is the thing that is most interesting to me. Cause like even if the tools that have replaced the add-ons are not as good as the add-ons, if the functionality of those tools is no longer necessary, then I'm fine. Right. Like, and like, there's a part of me that's very excited to see what encounter design looks like in a world where we know people aren't going to solve X, Y, and Z instantly because a weak aura is going to assign something or tell you something or scream at you or something like that. Like that could really like pump some life into a lot of these encounters, which by the way, I think like even in the most recent raid, I thought a lot of the encounters were really fun, but like you can tell they feel hamstrung in certain places. Just be like, okay, now we have to have a bunch of swirlies here because swirlies are like one of the only things that a weak aura can't really solve. Like it can't
web blades on Ansarek.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's like you can't solve that stuff with a weak aura. And so like, what kind of cool ideas have they had that they've had to shelve because they're like, no, like a weak aura will just do that right away. And and they tried to experiment with that with the private auras thing, and it really didn't work because they were they were kind of trying to have their cake and eat it too with the private auras thing. It was like, we're not going to turn off all this combat functionality, but we're going to flag certain things as unable to be seen, and then those things were immediate. Like they found ways around that like immediately. And I really think this is a direct result of the failure of private auras, where they took a look back and said, the only way we're ultimately going to be able to fix this is if we just turn this functionality off. We can't pick and choose. We can't just like be half in and half out. We have to fully commit. And then once you make the decision, okay, we're doing this, then you have to step back and say, okay, what does that mean? And what does that look like? And I think we're seeing the results of a lot of that right now. And again, fully supportive of it. Just they have to nail it. They have to nail it.
Well, I want to see where this goes. I don't really have much else to add on this, but I want to see where it goes. And I'm hopeful that we're not here in 2 weeks talking about people blowing up about this shit again, because I have a feeling that this is going to continue to be a hot topic.
Yeah.
And it's going to be topic of discussion in a lot of interviews. But we'll see where it goes. We'll definitely be talking about it if it comes up again. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on this before we move on to the next thing.
I'll ask you one more thing. And I'm stealing this from another podcast I heard it from, but if you were making an MMORPG today to be released tomorrow, would it have add-on support built natively into it? Would that be a thing you would do?
I think that yes, to an extent. I don't think that modifications to the game is necessarily bad, but you control the API. So whatever you want to give access to, you have the ability to do that. And if that's just for UI modification or people being able to like change the way that the game looks, then by all means go for it. But the problem is, even if you design a game that isn't supportive of add-ons, look at 14. I mean, people get around that shit.
Sure.
And people know how to decompile code and then change things and recompile. Like, it's not going to fix it even if you decide that you don't want to support them. So
Sure.
I think supporting very specific add-ons and making it easy to develop things like that is probably saving you people doing more nefarious things.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It's just really funny that like part of the WoW add-on philosophy just comes from the world of PC games when the game came out. That is like, this is just what you did. And this is the thing that separated PC gaming from console gaming. part of the thing, but this fully customizable third party support model was not only something that Blizzard just did generally, but it felt like all PC games just operated in this space, and that's just not really true anymore.
Yeah.
So it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, no. I think the answer is support what you believe is reasonable and don't do anything unreasonable. I think that'd be the best way to go about it. And do that from the very beginning so that you're not having to do what WoW does.
Yeah.
Potentially flip-flop on that.
Yep.
But all right, do you want to give a current update on where we're at season 3 wise? Because we did hit 3K, and in almost a week and a half, we've almost hit 3K on second tunes. So I mean, the dream of having 6 tunes at 3K isn't necessarily dead yet, with the caveat of these tunes that we hit 3K on were already pretty much geared.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Yeah, I have not taken a character from like nothing up to the top yet. Like I've done my monk, who was pretty geared going into the season, and my druid was my main in the previous season, and so it was like fully kitted out and almost max item level, so it was very easy to make the jump. But it was definitely easier, and I think part of it being easier is just the confidence. First of all, the knowledge of the dungeons in general is knowledge that crosses over no matter what class you're playing. But just like, I think a lot of keys sometimes is just confidence that like, I believe I can do this. And like, I just like an undergeared resto druid is like, yeah, I can do these 12s and 13s. Sure. Fuck yeah. I did them already on my monk. What does it matter if my monk's 15 to 20 item levels higher? I can do this. And lo and behold, I was correct. So yeah, I mean, I'm a little bummed like that we didn't get 3K on this one, because like we're really close. It's just, a lot of it was just a matter of like not getting. We're playing with a group of people, not pugs, for like the first time all season, and of course this was also the exact time where we just couldn't get the keys that we needed to get there. We're just missing certain keys. So like I need one more 12. What is it? It's a floodgate that we just didn't get a floodgate at all. And then I think one more 13, and then I'm done on my second one. But it definitely feels quick in like a satisfying way. Like I really love the season. Actually, I'm really liking it.
Yeah. So I think the thought process that we have right now is like, fuck it, just go and do them.
Yep.
Like when we first started the season, and like I said, like it's a bit of a weird spot to be in, because Scott and I in season 3 of Dragonflight were of this same mentality where it was just like, fuck it, rip the key. What happens if we lose? Well, then we lose and we go again. And then, not doing much in season 4, and then coming back in season 1 being extremely hard comparatively to what we were used to. Like we had to pretty much get all of that confidence back, I think. And so like now we're back at the point where we're just like, okay, fuck it, just send the key, and if it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well, and then we go back. And resilient keystones, my god, this has been like lifesaver when it comes to because like if we're struggling to get a key, right, I can just go hop on my hunter, or you can hop on your monk who has resilient keystones, and just say, okay, we're just going to keep running this key out of 12 until we get the key that we need, and then we'll send that on the tunes that need it. So it's super nice to be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, you've got a druid that's now almost 3K. You've got your monk. You're thinking of doing your paladin next.
Yep.
And I've got my hunter at 3K. I've got a DK that is like 200, an unholy DK that's like 200 IO away or something like that. And then I've been tanking on my bear, and I don't remember exactly what his IO is, but I know we played with a group of 5, like Scott said yesterday, or 2 days ago. And yeah, I mean, the ability for me to just go ahead, play for a couple hours, and just smash out like 200 IO was like super nice because we had a group. So.
I think the confidence thing is really interesting, because I agree with you. We definitely like lost it. And I think part of this is just like what happens if you build too much difficulty into the base of a system. Like, the cool thing about Mythic Plus is it gets as hard as you need it to be. Like, you will rise to your level of impossible to time stuff. Like, every individual player and every group of players has a certain level that they top out on, and you will get there. That's the way the system is designed. But if you build like too much difficulty too early in the system, you just kind of push people out to a point where like we're afraid, because it's like 12s and 13s this season are like considerably easier than they were last season.
Yeah.
I have no delusion about this at all. Like, it's definitely easier in every way. And it's allowing me to like look and be like, okay, well, maybe we'll push up to 15s, or like, I want to try other tunes and I want to get them up to 3K, but I also kind of want to push a little bit. And if we get a group of 5, let's just smash some keys. And like, I think that I didn't feel that all in season 1, because it was just like the 12s were difficult for me, and the prospect of going to a 13 from that 12 like was just like so daunting. And it's like, you're eventually going to get to that level anyway, but if you just put a little bit more cushion in the early parts of the system, it allows for that build of confidence, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think like we've been playing with people from our guild who haven't done high keys before too.
Yeah.
And I think confidence is a big thing with them too. Like when you like, we've drawn this arbitrary line now at a 12 where we're like denoting like this is for the upper echelons of key pushing players. And I think in doing that, you did kind of scare away people who might have just gotten into a 12 at some points.
Yeah, you kind of
But
tell
now
them
that
that's
there
not
is,
for me, right? Like, oh, that's
yeah.
not for me, when it is.
So it can be scary. It can be daunting. So I completely get it. I do also think you and I were like role swapping in season 1.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
that was a part of it too.
Yeah.
And again, we didn't play much of season 4, so we didn't carry over the skills that we had in season 3 into season 4 and then into season 1.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
so
it
there's a
definitely
lot
was a
going
lot of
on.
things. Yeah. It feels good though. It feels really good right now. I'm very happy, and I know I'm not the best player, and that's fine. But yeah, it's like the confidence of being like, oh yeah, we can just slam this 14. Let's go. And like, yeah, I mean, like, you just it's not a big deal when you fail. Like, everyone fucks up, and you just get in that mindset of whatever. And it's so much better. It's so much better for you. You play better under that too. Like, I'm playing better on my druid because I'm just not worried about the keys. I mean, and maybe part of it is just once you've gotten the one, like, part of that is like the stress is off. It's like, if I don't get 3K on my druid, who cares? I've already gotten there, right? So maybe it is just like, I feel like I got nothing to lose at all here.
It has been very eye-opening still though. Like the one time we get to play with 5 people, like we just smash things without even really having to worry about it.
Yeah,
And
man.
like it's how it goes. It's how it goes every season. Like we get a couple of weekends where we actually get to play with 5 people and we just smash things. In season 3 of Dragonflight, we had a team of 5 that we regularly played with, and like that's why we were able to climb so high. Like there is no bigger buff than having a group of 5 people you enjoy playing with, because not only enjoying playing with them makes everything a lot less annoying, but also you're all talking to each other and you can all do the same thing every time you go into a dungeon, which then means you don't have to worry about if that thing is going to get done or not.
This game is so much more fun when you're playing with a group of 5. Like, I know we said this before. I'm going to say it again. This game is so much more fun playing with a group of people, like, yeah, it's, I had so much fun the other night. I had so much fun, and we weren't successful in every key. Like, we did still fail some, like, it happens, whatever, but it was so much fun.
Yeah. Well, I guess the next thing then that we have to really like wonder is this going to carry over into season 3? And are like, we had major changes for Mythic Plus going into season 4 of Dragonflight. we had those changes carry over into season 1 of the War Within, and then they made some other significant changes to Mythic Plus going into season 2. We haven't heard anything about significant changes going into season 3. So do we think that Blizzard's happy with the state in which keys are in, or do you think that people aren't complaining because the dungeon pool and the system that they have currently is good enough? Like, if it is good enough, it'll eventually get stale.
Sure.
So,
yeah. My guess would be they make no real changes to the systems in this one. They might introduce one new affix and rotate out another one. But I would not expect to see any changes to any of the crest progression. The gear progression portion of it, I think, is all going to stay the same. I think the affix breakpoints are all going to stay the same. I think they're probably pretty happy with it right now. I think it is weird how much of this is sometimes just the dungeon pool, and like how much the dungeon pool goes into it with the perception of the health of Mythic Plus is like, you could do everything with the system design that's great, but if the dungeon pool sucks, people are going to have a bad time with it. That was kind of Dragonfly season 2, right? I don't think there was any real problem with the system. I mean, there were the old affixes that people didn't like, but there was no more thundering. They got rid of thundering and everyone was happy, but the dungeons just kind of were and people didn't like that. I think we're going to continue to see their philosophy on stops and kicks and how damage is dealt to players in dungeons that we saw this season. I would guess we'll carry that forward into the new season. We know we're getting one new dungeon, right? That's what they've said, is that instead of having a mega dungeon, there's going to be one new dungeon in season 2, one new dungeon in season 3. So we will be getting a new dungeon, and I think Floodgate is awesome. So if it's even almost like Floodgate, I'll be happy there. And I think we'll see the old dungeons that they bring back, they make those shifts and adjustments. So I definitely think it's continue as we're going right now is probably going to be the name of the game, especially with all the huge big stuff they're planning in the background. The thing that I think is more interesting is, are there going to be any big shifts to this system that we love to play so much in the next expansion? And I have no idea.
Yeah, I still think that Mythic Plus is long due for an overhaul. So, like an actual overhaul. Like they did a mini one here in the War Within in season 4 of Dragonflight, but like an actual breakdown of the system, relook at everything, and then put it all back together and give it to us.
I think the gearing, the gear acquisition, maybe not how you get the stuff to upgrade the gear, but the gear acquisition process probably needs some looking at, especially at like they decided to do this thing where they brought back old dungeons, and I think it's a great idea that's been universally successful, but like it really fucked with gearing, and I don't think they've taken the time to really pay attention to that. Like I do think when you design 8 dungeons for an expansion, I feel like you're designing your gearing and your itemization around those 8 dungeons. And then when you start bringing in other dungeons, you're not necessarily doing that. Like I think one thing I saw that if you want a shield as a caster, like an int shield, you better like crit and haste, because it's the only shield is a crit haste shield that's available in dungeons right now. And so if you don't like those stats, sorry. And that just feels like weird that there are 3 shields that drop in dungeons and they're all crit haste shields. Like, isn't that weird? That like, why? That's redundant. And there's a part of you that wants that to be redundant because you want to give players more than one chance to get an item that is their itemization. Like the fact that you have 3 chances in 3 different dungeons to get a crit haste shield. That's good. But like, what if you don't like crit? What if you want something else? And we talked about this a few weeks ago, that like the crafting system is kind of the band-aid for that problem, but it's just that, a band-aid. And yeah, I really think the itemization and the gearing needs a look. And that's a lot of work, because that, like if every time you bring back an old dungeon, not only do you have to kind of redesign the dungeon from the ground up, you also have to completely re-itemize everything.
Yeah.
That's a lot of added work. So I understand why they haven't done it, but it's weird. Like this season in particular I think is a really egregious example of how weird. There's like plenty of some stuff. There's barely any necks. Like it's just weird.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I do want to say, because I haven't gotten a chance to throw you under the bus for this one yet, but if Spires of Ascension ever comes out, guys, Scott voted for Spires of Ascension in the most recent poll he got.
We're not supposed to talk about the poll. I signed a thing that says I'm not going to talk about the poll.
Oh, sorry. Somebody that I know voted for Spires of Ascension in a poll that they got.
Look, I like the creepy feather angel people, and I want to go back.
To be very clear, that did not happen. So please do not send your pitchforks to Scott. But if we do get Spires of Ascension, I want to find everybody who did vote for it, and I want to ask them personally, why? Why send me back there?
Eventually, we're just going to get them all, right? Like, they're going to recycle every single dungeon. And as long as they make changes, I'm fine with that.
You know what dungeon kind of fucking sucked, but like I liked thematically, and like low key don't think I'd care if we went back? The other side.
I think my only problem with the other side is it's like the longest Mythic Plus dungeon that I've ever seen. It's 5 bosses, and it feels so long.
Yeah, it kind of sucked at content. Like, I will 100% say that. But, man, that dungeon's cool. Like, thematically, that dungeon's so fucking cool.
It is. I did not enjoy the final boss on that dungeon as a healer. It made me very uncomfortable to be far away from other players and unable to heal them. I did not like it.
Yeah. But anyways, I don't know. I don't really have anything else as far as our journey to 3K or our outlook on Mythic Plus. Like, all in all, the game's in a very good spot right now. People need to calm down and just kind of like take things as they come and maybe think a little bit more like a game developer, because not every decision is going to be one that you necessarily agree with, but it doesn't necessarily also mean that it's the wrong decision.
I agree. I agree with that decision that you just made right there. I'll say that.
But I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to touch on before we wrap up, Scott?
No, this is a fun game. I like it. Let's all play it.
Let's just make season 3 just as fun as season 2, and we'll be good to go, right?
I mean, that's the thing, right? If they can roll into this next season with a banger raid, a solid season of Mythic Plus, then we get to hit midnight with all this new player housing shit that everyone's so excited for on a really high note. I mean, I think they stick the landing in this pretty uneven expansion. I think things are looking really good for the game.
Yeah,
so
I 100% agree.
I think we'll see an announcement for that season pretty soon.
Yeah, we should. I would assume not too long after 11.17 drops.
Yeah, I think probably the week
Maybe
after.
Even before?
Yeah. No, I don't know if they'll do it before, because normally they do it right before the new patch hits the PTR. And they usually don't change the PTR until the previous patches. So yeah, I think what day does 11.17 come out? The 17th of June is when 11.17 comes out. So I think the week of the 23rd of June we have our official announcement of what season 3 is.
I'll be interested to see the dungeon pool. That I think is one of the big make or break parts of the season, because they've already set up well to have the Arathi be some of the main players in season 3.
Yeah.
And potentially the whole raid is going to be based around them, and they're a very cool faction. So I think we've got a good starting point, but we need to just drive it home.
Well, we know 4 of them, right? Well, we don't actually. So we voted on which of the 4 of the 8 War Within dungeons are our favorite.
Correct.
Although they didn't necessarily say that just because those won, we like have to put them in the dungeon pool.
Yeah.
And what were the 4 that won again? It was Priory, it was Dawnbreaker, it was Arakara, and what was the last one?
It was one of the new ones again.
Oh, Floodgate, wasn't it?
Floodgate.
I think it was Floodgate.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think those are the 4 that won. So I would be happy with those 4 making a return. And then it would be the new one. So then we have 3 potential recycles.
Yep.
I'm gonna guess one from Shadowlands. It's gonna be Tazavesh. Yeah. And then the only thing I'm unsure about on Tazavesh is if we'll do both of the Tazavesh dungeons or just one of them.
I don't think so.
I think it'll just be streets.
Yeah.
Because that's much more consistently ethereal focused. And then I don't know, two more after that. I don't know.
We're going all the way back to BC. We're gonna get Mana Tombs, Mythic Plus.
I mean, like they would have to completely redo the dungeon. Like, like the only thing they could reuse is like art assets, and that's it. So I mean, that would be cool if they do it right.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I guess we'll see. All right, guys. Well, that's all we had for today's show. Gonna keep it a little bit shorter this week. But my question for you guys is, how are you all feeling about Visions? Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I want to know what your guys' takes are on the add-on situation. You heard Scott and I's thoughts. Now I kind of want to hear yours because Scott and I aren't the only people who have opinions on this. And if you have something that we didn't think about, I'd love for you to put it in the comments. So as always, you can contact us at yellingintothevoid at yellingintothevoidwow@gmail.com. YouTube is at yellingintothevoidwow, and Twitter and Blue Sky are both at intothevoidwow.
And if you are not already subscribed to this podcast, we strongly encourage you to do so just to make sure you never miss an episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and pretty much everywhere else in the world that podcasts are, because they draw from all those other places. So that's literally everywhere right there.
Also, guys, please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting on the YouTube video. All of these things help us get more exposure, introduce us to new people. And as always, if you want to engage with us or engage with anybody else, the best way to do that is to leave a comment on the YouTube videos. So Scott and I do tend to read most, if not all, of the comments, and we do respond to most of them. So definitely leave your thoughts there. And if you just want to say hey, say hey.
Hey.
Until next week, guys, we'll just be over here yelling into the void.